Hi, welcome to Victory on Mission. I'm Sarah Raby, where we are merging work, faith, and calling. Today we're here with Pastor Earl Williams Jr. He was the former Community Transformations pastor here, but since then, Earl has made the leap into the nonprofit world with Proximity Gap, an organization that he and his wife both have started. So he's here to talk about that journey with us. So thanks for joining us today, Earl. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
So let's get into this. First, how did you make the jump? You were in ministry, in a salary job, stable, but you felt the draw into starting something new, starting something on your own. How did you kind of come to terms with making that transition and that jump into following the dream full time?
Scared and with a lot of prayer. Yeah, I made this transition. It was longer than I expected. The Lord kind of gave me a vision in 2018 about Proximity Gap to kind of step out, and He gave me a word, and I was ready to jump out there, but I wasn't ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of took some time, asked a lot of questions with our old missions pastor, Pastor Farrell, really dug in on some of the things I just needed to put in place.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first things I did was once I got the name of my organization, I just bought the domain because I said that's one step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I bought proximitygap.com and said, you know what, that's one step
Mm-hmm.
in that direction. And I just made the decision to roll it slowly. And then a time came while talking with Pastor Johnson, and Pastor Johnson said, Earl, is this a yes or a fuzzy yes? And I said, it's not a fuzzy yes, it's a fuzzy win. I don't know exactly when I'm going to jump out, but I do know that God is calling me. And from that moment, He sat with me along with some other pastors here, and I got some wisdom around me and said, okay, I think Easter 2023, we're going to make the jump. And we just did it. We did it scared, but we did it.
I mean, I'm glad you were scared. If not, I'd be a little worried.
Absolutely.
But what I'm hearing is you prepared.
Yeah.
And you got oversight from elders and from those who you valued, who had wisdom before making that transition. I think that's wise, is kind of looking and planning ahead, mm-hmm. taking the small steps like buying the domain, to the big steps and getting advice and wisdom and clarity from those that, that can speak into that area, that have spiritual oversight in your life. So you've had experience in ministry, and you've had experience working with nonprofits. Mm-hmm. So you have the experience, and you have, the confirmation that this is what God has for you. Mm-hmm. But in that, it's still hard, and you guys have still faced obstacles. So can you share with us some of the obstacles that you guys have faced and how you found solutions to the obstacles?
Absolutely. Number one, money. Money was the biggest obstacle. I was afraid, how do I finance this if I don't no longer work at the church? And honestly, God provided. He didn't just provide the financial resources. He provided people resources. Mm-hmm. He provided the people that I needed to pay. Mm-hmm. They decided to come on board and say, hey, I'll do it for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I noticed, and I learned this actually from you and your husband. We met once, and your husband said, Earl, just follow the favor. Mm-hmm. And that's how I overcome most of the obstacles that we have. Yeah. Where's the favor? Who's willing to open the door? Mm-hmm. A lot of people did open the door because I worked at Victory. Yeah. And they knew me. But those that I didn't have personal relationships with, it was like, okay, your proximity, who, you're doing what? Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. And I had to go in and actually sell. And I've had doors shut in my face. Mm-hmm. But the doors that open make the doors that were shut in my face like, I didn't need you anyway. That kind of sounds bad. But it's like, I know that this season I was not supposed to be working with you. It was in this season I'm supposed to be working here. So following the favor to see where God is moving is my recommendation. I know that sounds churchy. I get it. It sounds churchy. Yeah. Follow the favor. Yeah. But practically it is who's opening the door, who's willing to say yes, or who's willing to say, you know what, that's not. I think some of the best contacts I've had have been the people that said, it's not me, but try this person. You fit perfectly
People
here.
who are making the connection.
People who's making the connection. And that's what my organization is about, making the connection. Yeah. So it's perfect for me to be able to move around and have those relationships in the right spaces.
Right, that's great. And I think also inviting people in, seeing this as an opportunity to invite people in to what God's calling you to, and realizing that it's going to have to take a village or a partnership in order to complete the work that God has at hand, and inviting, not being scared to invite people into those spaces and making the ask, you know, for them to join you either financially or with whatever talents and skills that they have, joining you in, you know, walking out this journey and this calling with Proximity Gap.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. So the last thing, for those that are watching, because we've had a lot of people ask about, you know, starting their own nonprofit, what that looks like, how do they do it? What's some advice that you would give to those that are watching that want to start a nonprofit or are in the beginning stages of starting their nonprofit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said it earlier, I would do pretty much like we do here at Victory, take the one step. Like I said, I grabbed that domain, and I don't think I used it for 3 years later. My wife was a little upset I was paying for that. But I had the domain, I was ready when it was time to go.
Right.
Take the one step and realize kind of it's what the Lord tells me in transitions are sacrifice and trust me. I knew clearly when coming into ministry what sacrifice and trust me meant. I knew clearly when, and I'm still in ministry, but stepping into this new season, it was sacrifice and trust me. You have to count the cost.
Yes.
So count the costs, take a practical step, get the design made, just do something small so you can count it as a win, and then sit down and get someone that you know that has the practical experience. There's plenty of coaches out there who coach nonprofits. Volunteer somewhere else.
Yes, see how it's done.
And see how it's done.
Yes.
Get to know the executive director and say, hey, what are some of the things that I need to know? I definitely was blessed to be able to have those relationships. But I believe without those relationships, there would be no way to have a springboard into what we're doing now without those relationships. So that's my advice. Count the cost and make certain you take one step, big or small, towards your next step, and you can do it.
That's awesome. That's all good stuff, all great stuff. And I appreciate you for coming in today.
Absolutely.
So check out the nonprofit at proximitygap.com. Did I get that right?
Proximitygap.com.
And see what they're doing. See if you can partner with him in any way. And we'll see you next time.